Welcome to Touched and Empowered, a show created to empower individuals to value their lives by hosting think tank discussions that will inspire positive action. Touched and Empowered with Katie and Ace starts now.
Welcome to this episode of Touched and Empowered. And you said something very interesting before I pressed record. Would you care to elaborate?
So I actually said, I'm getting better. I have to get better at embracing every part of me, essentially.
Yeah,
right?
You said embracing me and just left it at that. Not this, I'm working on it, just embracing me, as in you haven't already done that.
All right. Thank you.
So clarify.
I shall clarify. This is great. This is just right in.
I'm holding you to it because I was getting ready to go into mom mode and lecture you. And I think it would be better if you hear yourself say why that statement was incorrect.
All right. I am very grateful that I'm working on embracing me. One. Very grateful for that. Two. So, I do own myself. I really do. I walk with a confidence where people think I know where I'm going. That I've been told. I can hold my own in a room when I need to be social, if I need to be social. I can be in a room with other high-level performers, executives, politicians, etc., and own who I am and feel confident. I can do that.
Right.
Now, when it comes to my digital presence and all that stuff, yes, I've expanded, but now I need to really be more me. That makes sense. So
no, that doesn't. No, that does not make sense. Okay. You have a persona, so to speak, that you share on social media because you've been on social media doing the influencer stuff for so long. How is that not you?
Okay, the persona is me. There's no duplicating that. That's me.
That's no just clear.
Yeah, every authentic moment, every slip up, every good thing, every awesome thing. Yeah, that's just straight me. The way I'm talking right now is me.
Yes. So why are you saying you need to make an adjustment to what you're already doing?
Because I haven't really promoted my achievements. And I think that's something that I kind of shy away from because I don't know, there's some kind of feeling I have towards it. I am a 2-time best-selling author. My books I haven't promoted that. That's actually out there. There's 2 books where I have my name on it and it's international bestseller. I have been asked to be incorporated in a few other international bestsellers and I haven't done that yet, but I will be doing that. So that's fun. Just the fact that the opportunity is there is something that I'm really grateful about. I received a certificate of recognition by the city of Carson and I haven't been in it. That for more Filipino and American public figure advocacy, essentially. Mm-hmm. I have been recognized by the Filipino ambassador to America as one of the top influential Filipinos in the United States. I haven't really, promoted that either. And then I have 3 other books. So it's one of those things where I'm just sitting and I'm like,
May I offer a different set of language, a different set of words to use?
Yeah, please
okay.
do.
Because you are not promoting yourself. All of these things that you have talked about are achievements that you have gained by hard work. You're not promoting some fly-by-night, oh, look, I got this certificate from some mail order college. Okay. You worked hard for those achievements and those recognitions. I am in the same boat. I am part of 3 international #1 bestsellers and part of 2 other regular best-selling books that I don't promote either because I thought it was bragging on myself.
Yeah, I think that's what it
But
is.
it's not, we're not
Yeah.
bragging on ourselves if we are stating what our achievements are, because we're
Yeah.
not doing it in a tone of voice as to where we're putting somebody else down because they haven't done it.
Mm-hmm.
I had this great aha earlier this week listening to someone who was talking about the hero's journey. And it talks about as we're the hero, we go through, we have our conflict, we meet our mentor, we come through the resolution at the end. When we are
Mm-hmm.
done our hero's journey, we then become the guide or the mentor for somebody else. How can we be a guide or mentor for someone else if they don't know what we've already been able to accomplish?
Yeah, that's true. That is very true. I also feel like maybe that there's this weird correlation between I'm still learning and growing, right?
Yes,
To to
to been
be
there,
able to
done that.
no. The been yeah, but the thing is the been there, done that. You've been there, done that with a lot of things, right? And you can
Right.
still mentor somebody, and it's actually very fulfilling, and it makes you want to learn more. Actually, that's like a
Mm-hmm.
very fun, odd yet awesome occurrence that happens when you mentor others. Like you feel fulfilled to learn more, so that you can train more.
And you can continue
Um,
doing that work. I completely agree.
Yeah, and I think it really is something where I was actually speaking to one of my mentors today. Her name is Susan Jen Davis, and I think I've talked about her, but essentially she created the Pipeline Diversity and Inclusion Initiative in Comcast's NBC Universal. They when once Comcast bought NBC Universal around 2012, she created this pipeline process, which is brilliant. That gave me an opportunity to intern at NBC Universal when it was right like a kind of a closed bubble, like you
Mm-hmm.
only go in through referral. And then when she created this quota that I got into, I also interviewed twice as hard to get into the page program because once you become an intern, you have the opportunity to interview when that
Right.
wasn't really an opportunity before. And then from there, I was able to learn everything I possibly could at NBC Universal. And then I got a job at E. Then I got a job at All Three Media Studios, and then I got a job at um, I Am Global. Which, by the way, if you know I Am Global, they came out with movies like Insidious, etc. But in their TV department. And then I also underneath the previous president of Sci-Fi. Um, and then I went into CAA, where I basically got my master's in business by learning the finance and accounting portion of how a global conglomerate or a
Mm-hmm.
scaling global conglomerate moves. And
She opened up the door for you to take your first step to where you are now.
exactly. And I didn't know that till I met her in 2017, 2018.
Yeah, I can see that because she probably was not somebody who was there for the regular everyday steps back in, what'd you say, 2012?
Yeah, 2012, she was the chairman of sustainability at Comcast NBC Universal.
Wow.
Right? So she helped bridge not just myself in entertainment, but she also bridged uh, Asian Americans in what's it called? In politics as well. So she has a
Mhm.
nonprofit that she's the chair of that helps support Asian representation in politics. So she is like one of the matriarchs in my mind of like Asian America.
Mhm.
And if you look back at actually, like I know that there's I'm not trying to compare, but I remember reading something about how Asian Americans weren't considered human until like the 1940s.
There are times in our history that are not good. And I'm just
Yeah, and
gonna
that's
leave it at
fine.
that.
And that's fine. The fact that we were able to progress that quickly as a community that's still not as large in the United States as like not trying as a populace, that's pretty good.
Agreed.
Um, yeah, being able to sustain that type of respect level peacefully, I think that is big. And she was one of those key figures
Mhm.
who really pushed that. And then when I found her in 2018 after an event at Sundance while I was influencing, I just met her. I remember I was like, oh, hi, nice to meet you. This is cool. We'll just hang out. Then I looked her up and I was like, oh my gosh, you're the reason. You're the reason why I have a career. Oh my gosh.
That's like going back to the high school teacher that inspired you to become whatever it is that you become in your life.
Yeah.
I, I mean, just somebody who opened up your door to a possibility that was not seeable before is an amazing
Yeah.
gift to be able to go back and thank them.
Oh, I thanked her. I thanked her with everything I had. I literally was like, whatever you want, whatever you need, you're like, because that opportunity was so hard to even get. The
Oh,
fact,
yeah.
yeah, and it like, don't get me wrong, going through it was a freaking learning curve because learning how to speak media corporate is a language. It is an actual
Learning
language.
learning to speak any corporate is a language because each corporate has its own jargon.
Yep, its
And
own jargon, its own
I
culture.
still get caught up in jargon that I have not used in coming up on 4 years. I will still catch myself
Yeah,
using terms that only work in the auto industry world, the auto insurance
that's
world.
so.
And I'm like, oh, time to change that language.
But that's so cool. So for instance, like that's embracing you. There's a part of you, right?
Mm-hmm.
I went on this hike. We were talking about corporate languages. I went on
Right.
this hike when I was like 24, and I was invited to hike with like 10 like 20 interns. We were hiking, what was it? Oh gosh. Yosemite. We're all hiking Yosemite together. I'm the only NBC page there, only media person, right?
Mm-hmm.
These are engineering and interns at Google, Facebook, Cisco, Apple, like the top, and they all spoke different cultural languages
Yep.
from the company that they were at. And I'm sitting there in this room listening to, I don't know how these guys actually, some of them knew each other from college, but I'm just sitting there listening and I'm like, wow, there's like an actual difference. Like there's an actual cultural imprint on these young engineering interns.
Mm-hmm.
And the one language that they all could speak was Reddit.
Absolutely. And I'm just going to point this out real quick, just because for me, it was WikiHow and Wikipedia before Reddit even came about. But oh my gosh, everything is on Reddit now. It's like that's the go-to place to find anything.
Oh my gosh, yeah. And this was what, 2016. I'm like,
Oh my god, they were fluent Reddit back in 20. Oh my gosh, I am so old.
well, you know what it was? It's because they were engineers. Like one of
Right.
the engineers that I knew from that group, he was working on the circuit board for neural networks, like the thing that we have now
Mm-hmm.
to like identify facial imprints,
Facial
like
recognition software, yeah.
facial, all of that. He was actually one of the contributors to create the circuit board. And like he showed me the circuit board and he was like, yeah, this is what it looked. He didn't know I had photographic memory. He shows me the circuit board. And like he's just like, yeah, this is the thing that I created and I can't talk about this because I signed papers. And I'm just looking at it like I shouldn't tell him now.
But you know, the fact that it's not just the corporate language, it's not just the generational language, it's the language that is spoken, it's the language that is written, it's the language that is read, and it all is. I'm learning how to change the conversations I am having with myself. So I am being very aware of what I actually say out loud.
Good.
Because if you hear yourself say something, your subconscious says, oh, that's important. And I know this has very little things to do with Reddit and where we just were with all this conversation about corporate jargon. But it made me realize that by using jargon, people feel excluded.
Yes, they do. They actually do. And it took me, it's funny because like once you know the jargon and you can slip it in to a conversation where people don't know you know the language.
Yeah.
But and you slip it in a way that's like witty.
Mm-hmm.
Instant respect. That's a
Instant
tip for
respect.
anyone trying to, yeah, that's a tip for anyone trying to understand how to get into any networking situation. If you can figure out the language and then do some type of witty Jedi mind trick to use it without them expecting you knowing
it's the same thing with foreign language too.
Yes. Je parle français un petit peu.
Yeah, very my un poco, that's it. My Spanish teacher would be very disappointed in me.
My French teachers would be surprised because I just
But no, I have heard stories of, for example, my sisters and I took sign language. We had a family member who was losing their hearing, so we learned sign language so we could communicate with them.
That's cool.
My sisters and I would go into the store and we would sign back and forth to each other. People would see us using sign language. They would assume that meant we could not hear what they were saying.
Oh, that's funny.
So it's really, so we messed with people because, we'd go in on purpose using sign language to see if we can hear people talking, what do you really say when you think someone can't hear you? Someone actually almost lost their job over it.
Oh, that's not good. That's great. I want to do that with
you. But no, one of my friends, she speaks fluent Spanish. She went to Mexico. I think she might have gone to Spain as well. But she and I went out once and we were at a restaurant and people at the next table were speaking Spanish. I had no clue what they were talking about, but apparently they were saying some very, a lot of innuendos on what they figured, whatever my personality was. They thought apparently I would do extra favors until she turned around and called them out on their shit. First in English and then in Spanish.
I love that. So
they were like, oh.
So I got a fun. Yep. I got a good story to tack on that. We're embracing who we are here.
Yeah, it's fine. Of course.
So what? Funny enough, and I love that this is relatable. So when I was younger, I was like around 8 years old. First time ever going to the Philippines. My parents are bringing me back to show them, basically to show me like this is what it's like to be in a third world country. Be grateful for everything you have in the U.S. Okay.
Good lesson.
Good lesson. This was the lesson they didn't expect. So while my parents were talking to somebody up here, because I was like, yay, hi, they're talking to somebody over here as I was a tiny child. And one of their friends comes up to me and goes, you don't speak the language? You don't understand what we're saying? And I was like, no, because mom and dad practiced English on me in the US. They're like, your mom and dad could sell you and you wouldn't even know.
Oh.
And I looked at her and I went, they're still talking over here, by the way. And I went, huh. I learned the language without my parents knowing. Literally, and my parents, that was even harder because my dad speaks one dialect, my mother speaks the other. So I had to learn both while I was growing up. And there was this one day, and I kid you not, about 4 years ago, where my dad was trying to talk crud about me in front of me. And I called him out in English, and he was like, how long did you know?
See,
all that came up to me.
Now, granted, the statement that was used to motivate you to learn is a little off.
But it was true. But it was real there.
But it was very real. It got you motivated. And I mean, my husband is German. He was born in Munich back when it was West Germany. So my mother-in-law and father-in-law still speak German on a semi-regular basis. And they will have conversations with Brian in German. They have taught Austin German. They have tried to teach me, and I'm just like, nope, can't absorb.
Okay.
I cannot grasp that language. It just doesn't compute in my brain. So it's really funny because I can almost tell when they're saying things that they don't want me to know about. And it's not because I understand what they're saying, it's their tone of voice changes.
Exactly. That's what it is. And it's funny because, like, all right, so universal languages
is
still
a thing.
Like the intent, it's a thing. If you still have an intent, like we as a human, if you're very like kind of in tune with language or just in tune with people, you can tell when somebody is speaking about you or speaking in a way, regardless of like the situation, regardless of what language it is, based on gesture, tone, circumstance of the room,
inflection.
Although with Chinese, it's a little bit harder.
Yeah, that's true. Right, inflection does depend on the language, but definitely the facial expressions and body language is the biggest thing that I notice.
Yeah. That's what it's just like kind of putting two and two together to realize what someone's saying. Like I remember somebody was speaking to a friend of mine in Chinese and I just knew what they were talking about. Like it just made sense to me. And then I answered back in English and this girl looked at me and went, do you know Chinese? And I'm like, no, it just made sense what you were trying to point at.
Yeah. See, my sister-in-law, Amy, she was able to have full-on conversations with my husband's grandmother, who was German and only spoke German. My sister-in-law, Amy, would speak English, but she knew enough of the German language that she could hold a conversation with, we called her Great Omi. Omi is German for grandmother. So she would have conversations with Great Omi where she spoke in English and Great Omi spoke in German. I could only guess what the conversation was based on what Amy was saying. But it was amazing that they had that kind of synchronicity and was in tune to each other and had that kind of connection. That language wasn't a barrier.
Yeah. And, I have to say this. So this is, now that you're talking about that type of connection. So let's talk about soulmates real quick in regards to embracing that part.
Oh, that's a whole nother language right there.
Yeah. So I remember I met this guy, my current partner right now. And I remember, kid you not, we just kind of got each other. It was first, of course, we saw each other and went, oh no, shoot, we like each other, like immediately. But then the second thing that really started hitting us was like we had this telepathic thing going on where we could connect and understand when somebody needed something. When we needed to support somebody, when somebody felt nervous, like we had that in sync. And we've always had that connection regardless. We do speak English, that's right. That's good. Right. When we need to speak about something, we will. But then when like we can understand each other to the extent of this is going to be trippy. This guy needed a Sharpie. Right. This guy needed a Sharpie in another room. And I could sense that he needed a Sharpie.
That is being in sync with your partner.
Yeah, that was trippy. I was like, you need a Sharpie, huh? And he just like kind of looked at me and went, and then I left and went back in the room. It was the trippiest thing. And I just knew. And then after that, we've had those experiences with each other. But it is really interesting kind of to understand, like embracing all the types of parts of you in regards to how you do you and how that connects with others. That's actually a big part of it. The fact that you embrace yourself, and then when you connect with others, that reaffirms actually.
And there's another way that you can to recognize that you have this connection with the other person is before we had specialized ringtones for people, where it was just a regular ring for everybody, no matter who it was, what time of day, anything else like that. But you knew who was calling before you picked up that phone. You know, if you turn off specialized ringtones and specialized notifications, check to see who you have that connection with, that when they call or when they send you a text message, you instantly know who it is.
I still have that. I know that. I know I'm part of that generation, but like, all right. So another big thing was I did study abroad for 4 months when I was like in 2012, 13, right? And we didn't have smartphones yet. Like
Right.
Wi-Fi wasn't everywhere yet. And like being able to call somebody in Europe to the US was like half a month's rent. Like it was real.
Easily.
Like right? So because of that, I didn't spend a lot of time on my phone while I was in Europe. And therefore I am so comfortable not being around my phone. A little too much. It freaks people out. Like there was this one time I was talking to somebody about that and they were like, yeah, I keep getting these messages when I'm busy and like all of that. And he was like, I don't know what to do about it. I'm like, I shut off my phone. I turned it off. He was like, that's gangster.
Oh my gosh. I set up the settings on my phone that has this wonderful sleep function where you could turn off so you don't receive any notifications or anything else like that between, you know, the times that you set for sleep. Worked out beautifully until my husband's hours that he was working changed. Because I had set it to go into sleep mode at 11 o'clock at night. Well, then he started not leaving work until 11:30 midnight. And he would be sending me a text message to say he was on his way home, and I wouldn't respond because my phone wasn't notifying me. Granted, we figured out exactly what it was. I wasn't purposefully ignoring him when that was happening. But he was worried because I didn't respond, because I always respond to my text messages. So training the people around you that don't contact me during this time because I will not answer, you know, saves on a lot of stress in the long run.
It's true. I actually have a cat. I'm so happy and grateful for this guy. Oh my goodness. I asked him like, hey, do you want to be just on my calendar? Like, because like I can't, I'm so sorry. I don't want to give you like some template or whatnot. And it's hard to keep track. Can I just like, you can see where I'm at. I'm not hiding anything. You can see my calendar. I started putting away from phone like as brackets on there just in case he wants to like text me or something. Yeah, it helps a lot.
It does. It really does, because it's gotten so much with the instant gratification and the instant responses with the text messages and the social media messaging and everything else like that. You know, I had a really hard time stepping away from being instantly available for the Teen Suicide Prevention Society, for my mom's business, for Brian's parents, who are both now in their 80s and, you know, have medical concerns sometimes. You know, I had to learn to shut my phone off just so then that way I had Katie time, because I was always on call. Even doctors who are on call, there are times they turn off their devices so they can sleep.
Exactly. I actually, funny that you say that. This morning, I don't know what I did, but you know, say goodbye to
your friend. We'll come up with a nickname for him or something.
We'll call him a partner.
Your partner.
So I was like, goodbye, partner. Go. Have a great day at work. I don't know why, but I think I either shut off my phone or my phone shut off, either or. I slept for a good 5 hours, just my phone off. And I didn't even know it was off. I woke up at 12 and I was like, oh my gosh, what time is it? And thankfully it's Friday, right? So my Fridays are really light because the rest of my week is not.
Yeah.
Right. And like it's Friday mornings and Mondays are my me time days because I need them. Otherwise, I wouldn't be good for any of y'all. So I get on. So I look at it and I'm like, it's 12 o'clock. I slept for a good, not including that 1 hour, 13 hours because I pretty much have been on call.
Right.
And I didn't think of it like that. I was like, wow, I really needed that rest.
I normally take Sundays just because Sundays is a normal day for the way I grew up. Sunday was a day that we took off. Sunday was a day you didn't work. All you did was watch football. Completely different topic there. But we're in the process of updating the Teen Suicide Prevention Society website.
Right.
And we want to get that done as quickly as possible. My mom is like, we need to do this. When are we going to do this? She's like, I've got Sunday open. And I'm like, I don't. What in the world are you doing on Sunday? Nothing.
Good.
I am not turning on my computer.
Good.
And she's like, oh, what a concept.
Brilliant. Yes, Mom.
Yes. I'm like, it's okay to take time away from work. We do it when we have a 9-to-5 job. Why can't we do it when we're entrepreneurs? Take some time for yourself.
Oh, that's actually one of the biggest challenges. I think it's funny that you yeah. Well, the fact that you said that with conviction, I think that's hilarious. That's how your mom was like, oh.
Yeah, she actually like had to think about it for a second. Like, wait a minute. Katie's saying no. Why is Katie saying? Katie never says no. What is wrong? I'm like, nothing's wrong. I'm just no.
Yeah, it's usually it's the infrequency of the pattern. I'm just like, what? And it's
so yeah, and it's funny because I spoke to my son a little bit earlier today. He goes, yeah, Mom, I'm gonna have the car. I'm gonna be gone all day Saturday. Don't worry, I'll make sure the car's home in time so you can have it for your me time on Sunday. I'm like, my son is so considerate. I didn't even have to ask for the car keys this time.
Oh, that's so kind. That's good. It's gonna I think like once you address your need, right?
Yeah.
When you're like, I need because I need it, like I actually need it, right? And then you show them proof.
Yeah.
of like either you need it or like they see the repercussions of not giving you that need.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like people understand.
And it's okay. Yeah. It's okay. And that ties back into the whole language thing, because if you cannot express what it is that you need as an individual, you're never going to get it.
Yeah. And being able to express it correctly, like being direct about it, or not even just being direct, just like you can be very short with it. Did you see how
straight and to the point. There's no need to, in this case, I had made the choice that there was no need for me to explain why. I don't need to justify why I want time away from the computer. I mean, granted, anybody who knows me knows that I pretty much live 12 to 18 hours in front of my computer a day. But I don't feel the need to justify that. And that, and being okay with that is something that just I had to learn. I just want to point out that, even though our conversation started with the edification of who we are.
Great word. Okay.
It really is that. It's just edification of our accomplishments. It's not bragging, honey.
Thank you. I appreciate that. To be honest, like when I think about it, it does give proof and confidence to the fact that what we're doing and what we're working to accomplish, like those attributes, those accolades, that contributes to that and brings confidence into the space of our results, because I know it hasn't been done yet, but we are going to accomplish it.
Absolutely.
And when I mean what we're going to accomplish, I mean the mission. Yeah. So thank you everybody so much for joining, and thank you for being on this journey with us. I'm going to toss it off to Katie for a well-wish goodbye.
Yes. Thank you everyone for being here this time. And I'm still laughing at Ace's faces because they're so phrasing and it's absolutely hysterical. But thank you for being part of our world, and we will see you on our next episode.
Thank you for joining us. We hope that the discussion today will inspire you to take positive action in your life. Until next week, be empowered.